You ever notice that the people that's close to you, the ones that tend to betray you the most? On October 3rd, 2018, police had received a phone call to check on a person that was found unresponsive and unconscious. When police had made entry into the house, they had found 63-year-old Leanne Hernan sitting in her recliner surrounded by medication, in which they made a determination that she had unalived herself. And the person that made the 911 phone call was 39-year-old Jessy Kurczewski. During an interview with police, Jessy would go on and tell them that her and Leanne's relationship was that of a mother and daughter type relationship, because they were so close to a point where she would visit her every single day. So after their interview with Jessy and all the evidence pointing toward that there was no foul play, they went ahead and closed the case out. All up until 3 months later, when the medical examiner had gotten back the toxicology report and had realized that Leanne had a fatal dose of tetrahydrozoline in her system, which is the main ingredient found in eye drops. So in the summer of 2019, Jessy would be arrested. Now, during Jessy's interrogation, she would come up with multiple stories on how the eye drops may have gotten in Leanne's system, in which the first story she told them was that Leanne would buy large amounts of eye drops, and when you go into her house, you can see that she had bottles and boxes of eye drops throughout the house. Jessy would even go on to say that Leanne was one that staged her house with all the pills everywhere. Police wasn't buying that story, and so Jessy came up with a whole different story by saying that Leanne was trying different cocktails to determine what would be the best doses to unalive herself with. But when Jessy realized police weren't buying that story either, then she told them that she was the one that gave Leanne a bottle of water that contained 6 bottles of Vicine inside, and she only did so at Leanne's behest. During their investigation of Jessy, they went ahead and took a look into her financial records, in which they ended up finding out that Jessy had committed over $300,000 worth of fraud, which includes a $130,000 check that she fraudulently transferred from the victim's account to her own account. They also found out that on the same day she made the 911 phone call, she had opened up a JCPenney's account in the victim's name. So based on the information they gathered and all the evidence they collected, they felt they had enough to go ahead and prosecute. Now, throughout the trial, the prosecutor would state that the reason why Jessy had gave Leanne the high levels of tetrahydrozoline was because that she wanted her money. Now, Jessy's defense team would go ahead and argue, saying that Jessy was not involved in this poisoning and that Leanne did this to herself, and that the reason why Jessy had got all this money was because Leanne had gave it to her. So by the end of the trial, the jury would go ahead and come back with a verdict of guilty, in which by hearing this verdict, Jessy would start to ugly cry. So as of now, Jessy has been convicted of 1 count of first-degree intentional homicide and 2 counts of felony theft, in which the homicide holds a mandatory life in prison with an additional 10 years for each count of theft.